How is it going, everyone? It's Lumid here, and today we are going to be talking about Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. Now, this is kind of an interesting game because Mario Kart Super Circuit came out after Mario Kart 64. However, it definitely feels like it's more of a sequel to the Super Nintendo version of Mario Kart, just with its graphics and the way it plays and everything, and the way the coins look on the course and everything. It definitely feels like it's more of a sequel to the original Mario Kart game, which is kind of interesting. And that being said, it actually plays very well, and I really do enjoy this game. It has some issues, but considering that this was like the first, Mario Kart game that was mobile, it's still pretty good. It's still really enjoyable, and it has some great courses that I really, really love. And there's not a whole lot of selection in terms of the actual characters and stuff in this game. It doesn't have a very big cast. It just has 8 characters. But still, I do like the characters that are there. You have the classics. You got Mario, Luigi, but you also have Wario, Toad, Yoshi, Princess Peach, Donkey Kong, and of course Bowser. And each character does have their own individual stats. And I feel like the stats matter quite a bit in this, because I feel like I had the easiest time handling my car and everything when I played as Peach, and whenever I played as someone like Wario, I couldn't control the cart whatsoever. So I feel like the stats definitely matter more in this game than they do in some of the other Mario Kart games. So definitely keep that in mind when you're selecting your character. But the actual gameplay itself is really fun. It plays pretty smooth. I didn't have too many issues with the way it performed. It performed pretty well. And the actual courses are a lot of fun. You have 4 different cups that you can play with at the start of the game. However, once you complete all 4 cups, and if you get a gold cup on each one of them, you will then unlock an extra cup. And the extra cup has 4 more courses that are really fun and I really enjoy. Some of my favorite courses in this game would be the Broken Pier course, or I really like Boo Lake. Really, the Ghosts ones are really good in this one. I really like the Ghost courses. Snowland is pretty good. I also like Ribbon Road. Ribbon Road's alright. Peach Circuit's pretty good. The beach areas, like there's Shy Guy Beach, which is really good, and there's also Cheap Cheap Island, which isn't too bad. The ones that I'm not a huge fan of would probably be more of the desert ones, like Yoshi's Desert. Not a huge fan of that course. There's some issues with that one, and also Cheeseland. I am not a big fan of that course either. The reason I'm not a fan of Cheeseland is because everything's so yellow that I was playing as Peach on that course, and everything is so yellow, it actually is hard to see your character, and it also hurts your eyes just looking at the screen, so I was not a big fan of Cheeseland. Yoshi's Desert, the biggest problem with that one would probably be how many piranha plant traps are on that course. There's just a little bit too many, especially because they put them on the corners, and handling in this game is already kind of difficult, and they just put them in the worst spots. So, you're going to be sliding into those piranha plants, and you're probably going to be using some foul language, especially on the higher difficulty. So, that's something that I was not a huge fan of. And the only other complaint I would really say with this game is, other than the handling not being too great, is that there's some courses that have ramps, and if you are not hitting the ramps quick enough, you can actually just completely miss, and you'll drop, and you will drop really far back onto the course. And when you get into 7th and 8th place like that, if it drops you, and it drops you that far back, there's not really any coming back from that. 4th, 5th place you can probably come back from, but once you get 6th, 7th, 8th, nah, there's not really any coming back from that. It's pretty... At that point, I don't think I ever came back from a 6th, 7th, or 8th place when I missed a ramp like that, so that's also not a great design. But for the most part, the majority of the courses in this game are pretty well designed, and I really did enjoy them. The difficulty for if you're on 50cc definitely seems fair. 100cc also doesn't seem too bad. When you get up to 150cc, bad words are going to start flying. At least in my case, they did. Not a big fan of 150cc, but 100cc and 50cc, I'm completely fine with it. I think that both of those modes are pretty fair. I never noticed any rubber banding or anything in this game. I think that it plays very fair, and that's actually a really good thing for a game that's from 2001, I think is when this game came out. So considering that this game is that old and it doesn't have any rubber banding, that's actually a pretty darn good thing. I'm happy that they didn't have anything like that. The only other negative I would really say for this game is that sometimes whenever you're playing on a beach course, for example, if you run off the course and your character sinks, it doesn't always pick you up and put you back on the course correctly. Sometimes it will just pick you up and set you right back onto the water, and you'll just sink right immediately right afterwards. It's just okay, thanks. Now I'm super far behind, so not a big fan of that. That is also a little bit of a problem. But for the most part, even with the issues, I think they're pretty easily overlooked because this game is really fun. The racing's really fun. The power-ups and everything, all that stuff is really good. It's a really fun Mario Kart game, and if you like the original Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, you'll definitely enjoy this one because this seems very similar to it. It just seems like a little bit of an upgrade from that one, so I really do like that. I actually really like the original Super Mario Kart, or just the Mario Kart game, so this is a really good sequel to that. I really enjoy it. The power-ups in this game are basically what you expect from a Mario Kart game. It has your banana peels, it has your green shells, it has your red shells, it has your blue shells, it has the star pickup that will give you invincibility for a little bit, it gives you the mushroom that can give you a quick speed boost. It's basically the standard Mario Kart stuff that you're probably used to at this point, and they all work very well, and I enjoyed using all of them. I think that they do a good job of making them work pretty well in this Game Boy Advance setting. Other than Cheeselands, I really do love the way this game looks. The courses look so bright and so colorful, and especially even for like a Game Boy Advance game, the graphics just look pretty darn good for what they are, and the fact that this game controls so well for the most part. You know, the handling can be a little bit rough to get used to, but once you get used to it, it just plays so well, and it just looks so good for a Game Boy Advance game that I think it's definitely something that everybody who collects Game Boy Advance games should eventually pick up. It's a really fun game. The nice thing about it, too, is that it's not too expensive. I picked up my copy for like $18, and I see it constantly for $18, so if you can find it for about that price, that's pretty good. I wouldn't spend too much on it, but if you can find it locally at like a game store or something for that price, definitely pick it up and play it, because it's worth your time. So I really like this game. I think it's fun. I think it's a pretty competent sequel to the original Mario Kart game, and it's something that you should definitely check out and look up if you are a fan of Mario Karts in general. Now, I will say, if you are a fan of Mario Kart 64, this is, even though this came out after Mario Kart 64, it's very different. It feels like a very different style of game than Mario Kart 64. So, even though it's still in that series, it's definitely closer to the original Mario Kart. So keep that in mind if you are wanting to pick this game up. So, but it's really fun. It's really fun, and it's definitely worth your time. So go pick up Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance, and I'll talk to you in the next video. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.